تازہ خبر آپ تک پہنچائیں کہ وزیر اعظم دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم کا دورہ کرنے کے لیے ڈیم پر پہنچ چکے ہیں۔ ڈیم پر جاری تعمیراتی کام کا جائزہ لیا جائے گا۔ براہ راست مناظر آپ اپنی اسکرین پر دیکھ سکتے ہیں۔ اطلاعات کے مطابق مسلم لیگ نون کے رہنما خواجہ آصف، مریم اورنگزیب اور شاہد خاقان عباسی بھی وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف کے ہمراہ ہیں۔ یہ مناظر براہ راست آپ دیکھ رہے ہیں دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم کے مناظر ہیں، اور یہ آپ دیکھ رہے ہیں کہ وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف اس وقت تعمیراتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کے لیے وہاں پر پہنچے ہیں، اور ان کے ہمراہ مسلم لیگ نون کی اعلیٰ قیادت خواجہ آصف، مریم اورنگزیب اور شاہد خاقان عباسی بھی وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف کے ہمراہ موجود ہیں۔ چیئرمین وابڈا لیفٹیننٹ جنرل ریٹائرڈ مزمل حسین وزیر اعظم کو بریفنگ دیں گے تعمیراتی کام کے حوالے سے۔ دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم کا سنگ بنیاد 1998 میں اس وقت کے وزیر اعظم محمد نواز شریف نے رکھا تھا، اور اب اس منصوبے پر کام تیزی سے جاری ہے، اور امید کی جا رہی ہے کہ 2028 تک اس منصوبے سے مکمل طور پر استفادہ حاصل کیا جا سکے گا۔ اس کے علاوہ وزیر اعظم دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم پر جاری ترقیاتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کے ساتھ ساتھ کراکرم ہائی وے اور 3 میگا واٹ تھک پاور منصوبے اور چلاس کیڈٹ کالج کا فضائی دورہ بھی آج کرنے والے ہیں۔ وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم کے تعمیراتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کے لیے اس وقت سائٹ پر پہنچ چکے ہیں۔ مسلم لیگ نون کے رہنما خواجہ آصف، مریم اورنگزیب اور شاہد خاقان عباسی بھی وزیر اعظم کے ہمراہ موجود ہیں۔ وزیر اعظم دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم پر جاری ترقیاتی کام کا جائزہ لیں گے۔ چیئرمین وابڈا لیفٹیننٹ جنرل ریٹائرڈ مزمل حسین وزیر اعظم کو بریفنگ دیں گے۔ یہ مناظر براہ راست آپ اپنی ٹیلی ویژن اسکرین پر دیکھ رہے ہیں کہ وزیر اعظم اس وقت اس سائٹ پر پہنچ چکے ہیں، اور چیئرمین وابڈا لیفٹیننٹ جنرل ریٹائرڈ مزمل حسین وزیر اعظم کو بریفنگ دے رہے ہیں۔ آج چھٹی کے روز بھی وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف ایک مصروف دن گزارنے والے ہیں۔ انہوں نے فیصلہ کیا کہ دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم کے تعمیراتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کا، ساتھ ہی ساتھ آپ کو بتاتے چلیں کہ یہ اس پر ترقیاتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کے ساتھ ساتھ وزیر اعظم آج کراکرم ہائی وے، اس کے علاوہ 3 میگا واٹ تھک پاور منصوبے اور چلاس کیڈٹ کالج کا فضائی دورہ بھی کریں گے۔ ساتھ ہی ساتھ اپنے تمام ناظرین کو بتاتے چلیں کہ دیامیر بھاشا ڈیم
خواجہ آصف ایم این اے صاحب، فارمر پرائم منسٹر ایم این اے شارسدہ عباسی صاحب، مس مریم اورنگزیب صاحبہ، respected guests. Sir, it's a great privilege to be here this morning, and I must thank you for taking the time out to be with my team, who are doing a wonderful job out here, sir. So first of all, doing Diamir Bhasha in here is a nightmarish experience, sir. On the counts like its location, very remote, the logistic nightmare, you have security concerns, and lately you were struck by COVID. Sir, let me tell you the figures that we have already 11 shaheeds who are working here in last 2 years. Despite our best international practices, we have lost 11 precious lives, and we have 61 who are wounded. And during COVID, we lost 80 people who worked on the project. Despite losing so many people and having the issues like security and also the location, this project is still on track, sir. Sir, I'd like to just very briefly show you that how is this working. So you are more familiar than this anybody else on development projects. WAPDA is the only parastatal in Pakistan which has unparalleled capacity to identify, design, make a feasibility report, construct and operate. And we today, sir, in Pakistan with about 9,387 megawatt in terms of its power, and in terms of energy, we are producing about 37 billion units. And we do this with only 3 rupees and 15 paisas. Sir, if you see a pie on the right, you have this, if Pakistan is producing 129 billion units, we do that about 37 billion. And this 37 billion which we produce at the cost of only 3 rupees, this is the core, this is the stability for the entire power sector of Pakistan. And we do all this in line with the SDGs of UN 6, 7, 8, 9. They talk of climate, they talk of clean energy. Sir, our journey to resurgence started once we did these 4 projects. We did Kachi Canal in 2017. We did Golan Goal in January 18. We did Tarbela Fort in March 18. And we did Neelam Jhelum in April 2018. So these projects were stuck for years, if not decades. Having done this successfully, isko band karwa dijiye. This is what gave us a very good revenue streams and the experience and confidence to do the more projects. I'll just take you to the history, not a very far history, recent history. This is what was done in terms of those projects. This is what we did in 17, sir.
माली और टेक्निकल चैलेंजेस थे और कई मीटिंग्स में ये बात भी डिस्कस की गई कि इस प्रोजेक्ट को अबेंडन किया जाए। तो मैं जनरल मुजम्मिल साहब का मशकूर हूँ कि उन्होंने ये चैलेंज लिया। तो आज जितनी जनरल मुजम्मिल साहब को खुशी है तो मुझे भी खुशी है कि हमारा जो एतमाद था वादा पर और जो जनरल मुजम्मिल साहब के वादों पर वो पूरे हुए।
हमें लेना दुश्मन को बताते हैं हम सर वक़्फ़ होकर दस्तार सजाते हैं पहचान अलग अपनी सबसे हसीन हम हैं इमरोज़ की मसनद पे फरदा का यकीन हम हैं। ऐ वतन ऐ वतन ऐ वतन ऐ वतन
Mr. Prime Minister, we have gelled a team which is ever willing to make a contribution. Their expertise, their professionalism, their level of confidence probably can match the best of the team in the world. And that is what took them to really undertake these 10 projects which we are talking today. Sir, before I go to these projects, let me tell you, sir, this Indus which is passing in front of you, the place where it enters in current area of Pakistan at LOC, at Hamzi Gund, it has about 17 million acre-feet water. Once it comes down to Skardu, the water increases to about 30 million acre-feet by virtue of having tributaries like Shigar into it. And if you go about 100 kilometers upstream to Bunji, it goes up to 50 million acre-feet water. Every year from here we have 50 million acre-feet water passing downwards. Once it reaches Tarbela, it becomes 60 million acre-feet water. We have Kandia and Dubair River joining in. And from Tarbela downwards, once you have Kabul and Swan coming into this, it is 90 million acre-feet water at the Kalabagh Dam. Of this 90 million acre-feet water, Mr. Prime Minister, we save only 6 million acres. This is a criminally low storage in the world. In Jhelum, you have 24 million acre-feet water every year. We store 7 at Mangla. and we store nothing at Chenab, which is about 26 million acre feet water. So 90 plus 24 and 26 is about 145 million acre feet water, and we store only 13 million acre feet. By virtue of doing these projects, by about 28, 29, we will be adding 11.7 million acre feet water, and sir, will be adding in power more than 11,000 megawatt, which will be in terms of 44 billion units, adding to current 37 billion units. So by end of these projects, we would have shot up more than 120% in power, and we would have added about water storage of more than 95%. So other than these projects, we also have 3 more on the anvil, which is Nolong in Balochistan and Kyal Khwar right here in downwards of Patan, and we have Atabad in Hunza. So what we did was that our team made a strategy that we must build on the increased revenues, and we need to unshackle ourselves from the government of Pakistan, because they can't really have a debt on their financial landscape. And we went and explored the possibilities of reaching out to ESG funds, environment funds, and also to emerging markets, venture markets, and equity markets. And for that, we had one of the best financial institutions operating with us. So this is just to give an overview of this, that the 3 major projects what we are doing. This is Mohammed Dam, the Diamir Basha Dam part, Diamir Basha Power Generation, Diamir Basha Land, Dasu. So in all, right bottom corner, this is 2.6 trillion rupees projects which are underway. In all this, Mr. Prime Minister, 2.6 trillion, the government of Pakistan will be chipping in only 648. But more importantly, it is WAPDA would be arranging $6.12, because it started in, of course, 2019, and the government was overstretched. So we ventured out to the market, and what did we do? We first put on house in order, and we took a step of going for the international rating by not one, by all 3 rating agencies, Fitch, Moody's, and S&P. And you'll be happy to hear that we became the first parastatal in Pakistan to secure the stable outlook by all 3. Then we went over to the market, and we were able to raise green Eurobond, which I'll explain a little later. So Basha, like I said, this is a place with the future destiny of food security and energy security of Pakistan is dependent on. We'll have a gross capacity of 8.1 million acre feet and 6.4 of a life. And other than that, this will provide 18 billion units in terms of power. And a single day of delay in Diamir Basha is causing us loss of $5 million in direct and $25 million in terms of indirect effects. So once we started, so what were the major challenges we took? Of course, its gestation period is more, it takes 7 to 8 years. It is very capital intensive. So government is pretty fragile onto this one. Pakistan itself does not have a very high-end engineering capacities, and approvals takes about 26 to 28 months for a project. And the last is also a very negative impact on the development, because you have issues like PEPRA and audit and NAB. They become a very big challenge to do the projects. We've been able to do this despite all this. So just a brief, you are very familiar with the features that this is going to be the tallest RCC dam in the world. And we have 50 meters subsurface, and of the rock kind what you have, we have a gabbronite family available here. And this is the best rock to construct a dam. And the structure of the rock under the river is just like a ball. That's a gift of a God to Pakistan. We only need to put a dam there. So its capacity is 8.1 is gross and 6.4 is the live capacity. It will produce 4,500 megawatt, and we'll have 2 powerhouses, one right, one the left. And the right one would be located in GB, and the left one would be located in the province of KP. Its time is 8.5 years. Sorry. And of course, this PC1 power generation is 933. The land is 174, and we commenced the work on 7th August of 2020. यहाँ पे आपका वो है पॉइंटर स्टाफ किधर है? So this is the structure. You are sitting just where we have the intake structures right here. The main dam, and of course we construct Khyber dam onboard the complex. So look at the advantages it has. Instantly we have 16,500 jobs created for the project, and we'll be training more than 1,000 engineers here and putting together of Moment and also at Dasu. The Pakistan would have a new crop of engineers on hydrology, about 1,600 of them who will be taking Pakistan's in future. We have cement, pozzolana for transport requirements. In development we're spending 78 billion rupees. And have 18 million units. It will increase the life of the Bela for 35 years, and it will run into $2.5 billion saving every year, and it will be able to irrigate of land of 1.23 million acre. So this is a consultant what we have. We have Stantec. Earlier on they were called as Montgomery Hartza, and we Pori from Switzerland, Dolcer from Turkey, Mott MacDonald from UK. We have NESPAC and ACE and Mott MacDonald Pakistan as a partners with them. So we are very fortunate to have on the board of management Mr. Michael Rogers, who is also the president of International Commission of Lodge Dams, and we other people you can see their profiles. We have Sir Power Shine and FW. They are the civil works with us. And there are a couple of technical challenges which we are facing to construct. First is the seismic hazard assessment. So this is a very high seismic zone. It was prone to seismic impact, and its location close to Asiatic plate. So we had to undertake a very extensive studies, and we had to work out, for example, what happened in 2005 in Pakistan. It was 7.5 Richters, which originated from Kashmir. It results into some kind of a ground acceleration. So this, at this point, it led to 0.11 G ground variations, whereas our project here is caters for 0.64. So it is 5 times more with the maximum expected earthquake ever in Pakistan. So we had a Dr. Nick Greger, and they are the best expert in seismic, and Dr. Norm, they are working with us. They have been extremely useful on the seismic studies. In flood estimations, or in case we work out the Gulf system in Indus, it's extremely dangerous and critical. You have the glaciated lake outburst flood. They could come at any times, and since it's a very erratic river, so we had to be absolutely accurate onto this one, that if you work out on the 100 years turnaround, what's going to be the max PMF, possible maximum flood. So we had the services of Dr. Reynolds and Dr. Martin to have the flood estimation studies. And sedimentations, like I said, that this Indus carries about more than 10,000 million cubic meter sediments at any one time. So we had to work out that in case we don't do good technical work on the sediment studies, this project could end up its life in just about 55 years. But having done those with the techniques of using the low-level outlets, the techniques of managing the sediments, and using the diversion tunnels available and the open channel available, so life of the project has been a couple of 100 years. So RCC Design itself, we have the two issues here. You'll be surprised to know there are no international companies who had the experience of even laying the concrete for more than 10,000 cubic meter. 10 million cubic meters. This is involving more than 17 million cubic meters, and this tallest dam in the world, and the spillway design has been embedded inside the dam. So that is what it called for, an extraordinary focus on that, and we had a good expert on for these both, RCC placement and also for the design part of itself. Divergence systems, I will take you from here. Imagine this river, this be going through a tunnel and open channel for at least 5 to 6 years. So we have to be extra careful in taking the river Indus, because Indus is mammoth, it is unforgiving. So the diversion system had to be done in a way that where the integrity and safety of those diversion tunnel and open tunnel had to be ensured. And even if the project, God forbid, is delayed for a couple of months, so they should be constructed on the design which is good enough to take entire Indus for a specific period of times. And we have underground powerhouses on both sides. We had to really struggle with a kind of a geology on both sides of the rivers. So that has been done a fantastic job by the experts. This will give you a general profile that how does this make a logistic nightmare for this project. Starting from crush, which is about 27 million tons, the sand of 11 million tons, steel, the cement, and of course going down all the way the vehicle flow of more than 150. You could have at the peak more than 600 to 700 vehicles passing one day. We have a very comprehensive logistic plan, Mr. Prime Minister. Starting from, we have our base place called Hatiya. So we have parking areas, we have our traffic control systems, we have logistic warehouses, and we have 6 sites right here where the logistic is being dumped. So without any interruptions or impediment into the activities, we are managing all this logistic support here at the site. So like you made a mention, the Supreme Court has made a bench headed by Chief Justice himself, and every 2 months we are required to go and present it to them, the latest development in the projects. And we have done that about 9 times in the last 2 years to the Supreme Court, and we are expected to do that by May next year again. So this is how we maintain the 4-tier transparency. The first is the project office along with the consultants. They carry out scrutiny of everything, each and everything, starting from a screw going up to the dam structures. And this, of course, this was decided by Mr. Shahid Khan Abbasi to construct this company on a project on a company mode. We have the Amir Basha company, which is registered in SCCP. We have board of directors where we have, of course, the private members from the sectors. We also have the chief secretaries of KP and GB, and we have secretaries from various ministries like water, finance and plannings. And then, of course, our continuous appearance to the Supreme Court, we give a progress report to them after every 8 weeks. So this is should interest you that how are we managing this. So we're looking at, inshallah willing, true to the word of WAPDA, where Abbasi Sahab was mentioning on the promises of WAPDA, we are very sure that despite Corona, despite security issue, despite what happened in Dasu in July, we still think that we can do this project in 2029. Our diversion tunnel would be completed, inshallah, by October this year. And then, of course, we'll have, for the diversion system, we need to construct coffer dams upstream and downstream. That will be done by April 23. And we'll have a main access bridge also downstream of the dam. And we're expecting the main dam and the power generation to be done by between June to August 2029. An important point, sir, I'll make a recommendation that NTDC, which is, of course, not even part of the Ministry of Water, they are supposed to carry out synchronized activities of ensuring that the power is carried to the load center in Pakistan. So that's about generally the timeline, sir. So this is the financial model for Basha. So I'll just, it is taking little time, sir, because of some jammer out here. This one, sir.
So main dam is in June, August 2029.
Sir.
And we are sitting in 2022.
Sir?
We are sitting in 2022.
Sir.
It's 7 years from now.
Absolutely, sir.
This time period has to be cut short.
This won't be possible, sir.
And you can manage it, I believe.
Bahut mushkil hai, sir, because I will commit a date on which I will do it, sir. I will not agree to a date which is not doable. You know why, sir? There had been a year and a half of a delay of the COVID. There have been 7 months delay on interruption by the security, and we get the security alert every month, 2-3 times. We get a call from the security guys that your Chinese guy cannot go across the river for 6 hours. So that is very, very erratic. So, but I think in saying this, so let me tell you the timelines of the.
I don't know that model can be implemented here in this place, but in Punjab, for the security of Chinese, I had raised absolutely an independent security force, part of Punjab police, but nothing to do with police affairs. It was only meant for the security of the Chinese and the engineers and the workers, their families, everything. As luck would have it, Allah was very kind. Nothing untoward happened. And we spent billions of rupees to raise this force. And then it was further augmented by Pakistan Army's, security. It was obviously an additional tier. Why don't you replicate that model here?
Sir, our system is even better than that, sir. Excuse me, sir. I'll just explain, sir. Our system is even better than that, sir. We have the Amir Basha task force, which is headed by a serving brigadier. It is equivalent to a brigade headquarters. He has complete staff with the majors and, of course, all the people for the intelligence people. We have a force of Gilgit-Baltistan scouts. We have FC troops here. We have a WABDA security force here, and we have a police here. So this entire composite force has been brought under a serving brigadier, which is based at Chalas and Thor. And I think it is because of their good work that we've been able to do this much in 2 years' time. I'll show you the on-ground answer. So, sir, there is. Jim, I'll do my best, sir. I'll do my best, sir. I'll do my best, sir. Sir, coming to the financial, you are generally aware of it that in the land we have 164 billion approved. In the dam cost we have 480 billion, and in power generation is 707 billion. So we have 3 streams coming up to this one. The first is a PSDP grant, which is 534 billion, and this year we've upgraded a previous of 480 based on the dollar parity now in 2022, and also the cost of escalation. Commercial financing is to be done by WABDA ourselves, including $3.7 billion, and we will also have the WABDA security and also manage IDC of 453. So like I was explaining to you, what are we exploring actually? For the foreign, I was explaining to you that in raising the first green Eurobond, we had a tremendous response from the international market. And it was in May 2021 that we launched the first green Eurobond, and we had 6 times oversubscribed offer of $3 billion. We picked only 500 millions. And this was done without the government guarantee and also without pledging any assets. I'll skip this one, sir. We'll have discussion in your office on this one. And this is the green Eurobond what we launched, sir. We got a stable outlook from all. And we did 2 rounds of this. And we had the lead bank of JP Morgan. They were our inaugural banks, bond issuance के लिए. और इनके साथ Deutsche and Standard Charter भी थे, sir. And we have a McKinsey as a consultant for the legal things. It was 6 times oversubscribed, and the big companies in England like the Goldman Sachs and PIMCO and UBS, they all participated. Sir. These are people who work with us. Sir. So good news is, sir, this is the only project in Pakistan which is spending which is being allotted to them. If you see on the right, releases of 59 billions, and we've been able to use 57 billion. And in terms of resettlement, releases were 121 billion, and we already spent 120 billion, which is very rare that any public sector you have a project where the releases and utilization is the same. Normally people are not in a position to spend this. This is very briefly, sir, the work going on. If you see those 3 bridges with a red mark, that is where we are sitting. And right in front, we have an intake structure, that is where we are working. And on the dam side, we have the work going on both sides of the dam structure. We're raising the right abutment and the left abutment. And then we have a work concurrently going on the outlet structure of the diversion tunnel. And further down south of the site, We have a main bridge being constructed by FWO that should be constructed by February 2024. And then we, of course, sir, if you see on the left, we have low-level outlet platforms, and we are supposed to have 2 cofferdams. All in all, we are working at 13 different places at one place, sir. This is for the land acquisition, sir. We are left with 9%, which we would require about 6-7 years from now. And उस 9% में वो ज़मीन शामिल है जो बेसिकली कुछ दो अपने ट्राइब्स का डिस्प्यूट है आपस में और कोई गवर्नमेंट लैंड है तो वी आर ओके फॉर द लैंड. We have dispersed the money through a very well systems of very good support of a GB government, and we are good to go on to this one, sir. So this I must explain to you that you see this red part, this is the boundary between KP and GB. This dispute is over 150 years old, and there have been certain people who've been killed by each tribe, and they had declined for any project commencement work on the site unless the dispute is resolved. So that wasn't happening despite having, we had the steering committee say about 5-6 years before. So finally, sir, I must highlight Brigadier Shoaib Taki and his team. They had a 26-member Jarga team, both from Thor and Harban, from KP and also from GB, and good support from GB administration and also from the KP government. We've been able to resolve that, and on these terms and conditions, they have agreed to go ahead on this one. Background I've already told you, sir. But what is the outcome? This is what he agreed on, sir. They allowed us to work. We gave them 400 million rupees because we were supposed to give them a compensation for the land, and they wanted a job for every family killed and for every family which was wounded. So we okayed with them. So we have a team now working with them, so they ensure a safety and security of that area. There is no trouble on that score, sir. This has been done, sir. So these are smaller things what he did. We have constructed 2 small hydropower, one at Thak, which is at Chalas, and one in at Thor. We are giving electricity to people of Chalas as a goodwill gesture to them. Although their need is more than this, but I think GB government is also working on this holiday to improve their availability. We have a cadet college at Chalas, which we request you to come and inaugurate, say, after Eid. And we have recently started an army public school at Thor. And then we're also spending money on all comprising education, development plan, health sectors, and intervention of social safeguards. And we also made a model village at Harpandas. This is generally to show you the kind of a work for the social uplift is being done, sir. I make a mention of cultural heritage plans. Sir, you have about 37,000 petroglyphs dating from thousands years on the rocks in this. Under the international regime, we are supposed to have protections of all those cultures. What we have done is that we made a cultural heritage plan. We are taking 2 and 3D pictures of those, and we are making a museum at Chalas where they'll be preserved, all of them. In some cases, we are moving those rocks which are not very heavy to move. But once we do this, the Chalas Museum will become one of the major attraction for the tourists in Pakistan, that they have something to see which is dating back to 900 BC. So this plan is in place, and we have some very good experts who are doing this job for us. It was initially designed by a German archaeologist. He has recently died, but the team is continuing to work with us. So this relocation of KK, you had a brief look while we were flying in. We had the trouble of continuing work uninterrupted on the main dam because there's a huge traffic which goes through this one. So we've been able to connect this about 40 kilometers area, and it bypasses the entire project. This gives us more space, and this should also help us to save on more times. So this is that road which you saw. No, the recommendation, sir. So this has already been approved by ECNIC, so our only recommendation is that of the 30% commitment by the government, there should not be any interruption in cash flows, and we continue to get 57 billion rupees per annum. And like you made a request that we are the only power generating sector which does not get priority with the power sector. We have 229 billion rupees currently, of course, outstanding as a receivable with the power sectors. So power sector does not treat WAPDA at par with even IPPs. Where WAPDA is supposed to generate 70% of 2.6 trillions. So any delay on any receivables for a longer period of time will do only one thing: delay these projects. And one day, sir, like I said, one day delay here is $5 million. It's a very earnest request that there should be no interruption on that. Last year, the government took a decision of cutting down of IPPs, their return on equity from 70 to 10%. But unfortunately, they did for the WAPDA also. So we took it up with the government that this cannot be done, because how do you expect WAPDA to have injecting 300 billion rupees by deducting ROEs? So they promised with us that since we have done it across the board, we should be able to look after and meet your needs through a conventional PSTP. All right, sir. This is what, sir, we were talking about, that we have come along this blue and maroon road and at Basha, but in case we construct a tunnel at Babu Sir, this is going to have phenomenal positive impact not only on Amir Basha, but all future projects like Bunji and even at Dasu. And more than that, we'll have a strategic link between the province of GB and also going down to KP and further. So our very strongest recommendation would be, Mr. Prime Minister, if you could approve this tunnel. So this will be a great favor, and this may also help us, like you said, we do everything possible to mitigate the possibility of challenging. This would help us to save the time on construction on this one. NTDC, sir, NTDC presently doesn't even work with WAPDA. NTDC is required to carry and evacuate the power from the 4 furlong area back to the load center. And unfortunately, they're working with the Power Ministry. The Power Ministry can set up a project wherever they want close to Power Center. But they're, working with power does not make any sense. We are supposed to evacuate from Dasu, from Mohammed, from Basha, from Kuram Tangi, all over Pakistan, from Nolong, from Naigaj and Sindh. So our request would be that government should very seriously consider bringing back NTDC to the Ministry of Water and clubbing it with WAPDA. That will help us to synchronize timings and also reduce timing for completion of the projects. That's all, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir.
Thank you very good.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks.
I'll say a few words. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Former Prime Minister Shahid Kakan Abbasi Sahab, Chairman Wabda, General Muzammal, Khwaja Mohammad Asif, Maryam Aurangzeb Sahiba, officers from Armed Forces and Civil Officers, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu Alaikum. It's really a great honor and pleasure to be here this morning. I'm very sorry to bother you on during this month of Ramadan, but our work and our responsibility carry huge, very huge and honest task we have to undertake. And thank you very much for your time and your concern. I'm very happy to state that this project was launched by former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif back in 2016-17, and then former Prime Minister Shehbaz added on to it in a wonderful way that this project is now on the ground and it is coming up as best as possible. General Muzammal, Chairman Wabda, I used to name him as a live wire because I had a short spell of interaction with him and some of the problems were resolved very speedily. I'm sure all of you are going to team your efforts and complete this project as early as possible. Obviously, I can understand gigantic tasks ahead of you. This terrain and weather, access to the area is not easy. And then, of course, financial matters also equally important, if not more. I have gone through these slides and I'm satisfied that you are able to raise funds from international market through Eurobond and Sukuk and other instruments. But then this is, for the time being, for the dam site. I think it is equally important to start thinking of the powerhouse. And there you earn money, not on dam. Dam will help Pakistan's economy immensely, irrigate our lands and have other very important aspects attached to it. Controls sedimentation and flash floods, etc. This is extremely important for our economy. And above all is irrigating our lands and providing opportunity to grow more agricultural produce and make Pakistan prosperous and progressive. But then what about the powerhouse? I would suggest that since it carries profits, so international investors should be encouraged to come forward and bid for the powerhouse so that we can start this powerhouse in tandem with the dam site. And I would suggest that the best bet would be cooperate with CPAC if possible, or seek financial support from Exim Bank China, and then of course explore other potential investors, but then do it very speedily, because unless we start power generating project, this project would be incomplete in every sense of the word. So I would be very grateful if Chairman Wabda is able to look into this aspect quickly, and whatever you need from the federal government will be there to support you. I'm not here to make any political speech today because we have enough other ample opportunities to say the truth and expose, unfortunately, what has happened in the last 3.5 years. But I must say and appreciate this teamwork, which is doing a wonderful job. It's a Chinese, it's a combination of Chinese company and FWO. I'm sure it's a wonderful combination, and this combination will certainly deliver this project on time. But I will still insist and persist that please go into the timelines again and see where we can cut corners, and if we can advance this date from 2029 to, let's say, 2026 or 2027, it will be a miracle we would have been able to achieve. And this is possible. Nothing is impossible in this world, provided we put our act together and move forward in unison. I'm sure you will be able to find space to advance this project by at least 2 years. मैं आखिर में आप सबका, चूँकि यहाँ पर कुछ फॉरेनर्स बैठे थे, मुझे अंग्रेज़ी में बात करनी पड़ी, लेकिन मुझे उर्दू में बात करनी चाहिए थी, मगर चूँकि उनको भी कुछ समझ में आ जाए कि मैं क्या कह रहा था, तो मैंने कुछ अंग्रेज़ी में बात की. मैं आप सबका बेहद शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आप बड़ी मेहनत से इस मंसूबे के लिए काम कर रहे हैं. ये मंसूबा अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमारी PMLN की हुकूमत मियाँ नवाज शरीफ की लीडरशिप में इस मंसूबे का आगाज़ किया गया, और पहली किस्त में जो लैंड एक्वायर करनी थी उसके लिए फ़ंड्स PMLN की हुकूमत ने जारी किए, और उसके नतीजे में लैंड एक्वायर की गई. मुझे इल्म है और मुझे बताया भी है जब वहाँ आ रहे थे कि उस एक्विजिशन में ख़ासे प्रॉब्लम्स थे और उसमें काफ़ी टीडियस इश्यूज थे, जिनको बड़ी अच्छे तरीके से रिजॉल्व किया गया, और फिर शाहिद अब्बासी साहब ने इस सारे प्रोसेस को पूरी इसकी सपोर्ट की और उसको ताकत पहुँचाई. और उसके बाद अब ऑन ग्राउंड काम शुरू हो चुका है. यकीनन जिस तरह आपने बताया कि यहाँ पर 9 शहादतें हुई हैं और 72 लोग कोविड की वजह से अल्लाह को प्यारे हो गए, तो इन तमाम मुश्किलात और आफात के बावजूद आज यहाँ पर ज़िंदगी नज़र आती है, तो ये मैं समझता हूँ कि बड़ी खुश आइंद बात है. और इस मंसूबे को हम अगर अब बड़ी यानी पूरी इज्तिमाई क़ुव्वत और इज्तिमाई बसीरत के साथ आगे लेकर चल सकें, तो एक बहुत एक शाहकार होगा, पाकिस्तान के तारीख़ में एक माइलस्टोन होगा. डैम यकीनन पाकिस्तान की ज़िंदगी को तवानाई बख्शने के लिए बहुत एक अहम एक मंसूबा है. और जिस तरह आपने तफसील में बताया, मैं उसमें नहीं जाऊँगा कि किस तरह 125-30 मिलियन एकड़ फीट जो पानी यहाँ से गुज़रता है सालाना, उसमें से हम बमुश्किल 25-30 मिलियन एकड़ फीट बचा पा रहे हैं. इससे बड़ी इस कौम के साथ ज़्यादती क्या हो सकती है. और इस हमाम में हम सब नंगे हैं. 75 साल में यही कुछ होता रहा, चाहे वो सियासी जमहूरी हुकूमतें थीं या डिक्टेटरशिप थी. मैं समझता हूँ कि माजी में जाए बग़ैर मगर माजी से सबक हासिल करने के साथ अगर हम इस एक कुदरत का जो तोहफ़ा है, इनाम है, इस पानी को अगर हम मुमकिन हद तक हम ज़ाया होने से बचा लें, जो समुंदर में गर्क हो जाता है, तो एक बहुत बड़ी एक कामयाबी होगी हमारी. और इसके लिए ये डैम एक बहुत एक बड़ा अहम रोल अदा करेगा. नीचे दासू डैम जो है वो भी इंशाल्लाह, वो अनफॉर्चुनेटली वहाँ पर स्टोरेज नहीं है. इट इज़ जस्ट जनरेशन थ्रू रन ऑफ द वाटर इन द रिवर. तो ये हमें ये कैपेसिटी, स्टोरेज कैपेसिटी न सिर्फ हमें बहुत पाकिस्तान की ज़िंदगी में एक तवानाई लेके आएगी, बल्कि तरबेला डैम को भी सेडिमेंटेशन से बचा के, जिस तरह आपने बताया कि 35 साल उसकी उम्र में इजाफा होगा. लेकिन दिस इज़ नॉट एनफ. आपको ये जो कैस्केडिंग जो है, इसमें आपको मज़ीद آپ ہم غوطہ زن ہوں. یقیناً وقت لگے گا, وسائل درکار ہیں, ہمارے پاس وسائل نہیں ہیں. میں ماضی میں جس طرح میں نے کہا نہیں جھانکنا چاہتا. پچھلے 6 دن سے جب سے میں اللہ تعالیٰ نے مجھے اس ملک کا خادم چنا ہے, میں دن رات جب میں لیتا ہوں پریزنٹیشن, چاہے وہ فائنانس منسٹری کی ہے, چاہے وہ پاور کی ہے, چاہے وہ پیٹرولیم کی ہے, چاہے وہ یعنی رونگٹے کھڑے ہو جاتے ہیں کہ کس طریقے سے ہمیں اپنے ان 3.25 سالوں کو ضائع کیا. ایک مثال ہے کہ ہماری یہ ہائیڈل پاور تو ابھی نہیں آئے گی, وہ تو اب جب گلیشیئر نیچے آئیں گے, برفیں پگھلیں گی, تو پھر یہ آپ کا 6-7 ہزار میگا واٹ جو ہے وہ انشاءاللہ جنریٹ ہوگا. لیکن اس وقت جو آپ کی نان ہائیڈل پاور جو اویلیبل ہے, اٹ از ایٹ اسٹینڈ اسٹل. آئی مین لارج کیپیسٹیز, تھاؤزنڈ آف میگا واٹس. اس لیے نہیں کہ ہمارے پاس اپنے کیپیسٹی نہیں, اس لیے کہ نہ وافر تیل ہے, نہ وافر گیس ہے. اس سے بڑی انکمپٹنس اور اس سے بڑا ظلم اور زیادتی اس قوم کے ساتھ کیا ہو سکتی ہے. مجھے اس بارے میں اور موقع ہوں گے میں کہوں گا, بتاؤں گا قوم کو, اور حقائق بتانی ہے, جھوٹ نہیں بولنا قوم کے سامنے. میں اس دن اس ملک کا خادم نہیں ہوں گا جس دن خدا نے مجھ سے, میرے منہ سے جو قوم کے جو حقائق ہیں اچھے یا برے, وہ میں نے اس کو ٹوسٹ کرنے کی کوشش کی اور ان کو ایک غلط رنگ دینے کی کوشش کی. نہ میرے یہ خمیر میں ہے, نہ میں نے یہ سیکھا, نہ یہ کام کروں گا انشاءاللہ. اچھی باتیں بھی حقائق کے ذریعے آئیں گی, اور خدا نہ خواستہ کوئی مشکل باتیں, خراب باتیں بھی حقائق کے ساتھ آئیں گی. آخر میں جو سوشل فرنٹ پہ جو کام آپ کر رہے ہیں وہ یقیناً وہ بڑا اچھا ہے. آپ نے کیڈٹ کالج بھی بنایا چلاس میں, اور آرمی پبلک اسکول بھی بنایا آپ نے. جو وہاں پر کمی مجھے آئی جنرل صاحب وہ ہسپتال کی. یو مسٹ ہیو اے پراپر ہاسپٹل ان چلاس, جو نہ صرف اس پورے خطے کے لیے, وہ ہمارے مریض ماؤں بہنوں اور بیٹوں کے لیے ایک میں آج بھی جانتا ہوں یہاں پر گلگت میں دا فرسٹ اسکیننگ مشین, MRI مشین واز ڈونیٹڈ بائی دا گورنمنٹ آف پنجاب. میں جب خادم تھا پنجاب کا تو میں نے گلگت میں وہ مشین دی, وگرنہ اسکین کرنے کے لیے لوگ راولپنڈی جاتے تھے. دس از اے فیکٹ, ہارش اینڈ ہارڈ ایز اٹ از, بٹ دس از اے فیکٹ. مگر اتنا یہ اربوں خربوں کا آپ یہ منصوبہ بنا رہے ہیں, تو یہاں پر اگر پراپر ہسپتال نہیں ہے, چھوٹی موٹی ڈسپینسری از ناٹ اے سولوشن آف دا پرابلم آف دا ایریا. یہاں پر جب آگے آپ چلیں گے تو ہزاروں انجینئرز آئیں گے یہاں پر, اپنا ورکرز ہیں, ٹیکنیشینز ہیں, ان کے لیے آپ نے ایک ہسپتال اگر پراپر نہ دیا جو کہ علاقے کے لوگوں کے لیے بھی کام آئے اور یہاں کے اس منصوبے کے لیے بھی کام آئے, تو یہاں پر آپ اس کی اسٹڈی کر لیجئے کہ وہاں پر 200 بیڈ کا ہسپتال چاہیے, فلی اکوپڈ اینڈ رن بائی ایکسپرٹس. ان کو ظاہر اٹس ایزی سیڈ دین ڈن, اس جگہ پر رہنا کوئی آسان کام تو نہیں ہے, لیکن اس کے لیے ساری ہم تدابیر سوچیں گے. تو آپ مجھے فی الفور بتائیے گا کہ یہاں پر 200 بیڈ کا, 150 بیڈ کا, 300 بیڈ کا ہسپتال, یہاں پر چیف سیکرٹری بیٹھے ہیں اور ان کے آفیسرز بیٹھے ہیں, مل کے مشورہ کر کے ود ان 1 ویک پلیز کم ٹو می اینڈ لیٹ می نو کہ یہ کتنی کیپیسٹی ہونی چاہیے. تو گورنمنٹ آف پاکستان انشاءاللہ ول فنڈ دس ہاسپٹل فار ناٹ اونلی فار دس پروجیکٹ, فار دس انٹائر ایریا. ہمارے غریب بچوں, بزرگوں, جوانوں کے لیے, ماؤں کے لیے, یتیموں کے لیے, اور یہ فری اسپتال ہوگا, فری ادویات اور فری علاج یہاں پر انشاءاللہ ہوگا. آخری بات, آپ نے بابو شاہ ٹاپ کی ٹنل کی بات کی, یہ یقیناً اس کا بڑا فائدہ ہوگا, اور ٹریفک جو ہے جو چلتی ہے وہ آپ اس کو ڈائیورٹ کریں گے, اور ٹنل کے ذریعے آپ سارا سال جب برفیں بھی پڑی ہوں گی تو ٹنل کے ذریعے آپ اپنی ٹرانسپورٹ, آپ اکوپمنٹ کو آپ ٹرانسپورٹ کریں گے, لوگوں کو کریں گے. تو آئی تھنک اٹس اے ویری کروشل پروجیکٹ, اینڈ تھینک یو ویری مچ فار ہائی لائٹنگ دس امپورٹنٹ ایلیمنٹ آف دا انٹائر پیرافینیلیا. تو اس کے لیے میں ان پرنسپل اعلان کرتا ہوں کہ ہم یہ ٹنل بنائیں گے. 12 کلومیٹر کی ہے, 13 کلومیٹر کی ہے. اس کے لیے آپ اسٹڈی تیار کریں. انشاءاللہ اس ٹنل کو ہم انٹیگرل پارٹ اس کا حصہ بنائیں گے. اس سے اس منصوبے کے لیے بے پناہ سہولت ہوگی. جو عام ٹریفک ہے وہ دوسرے راستے جائے گی, اور جب سڑکیں بند ہوتی ہیں موسم میں وہ ٹنل کے ذریعے آپ آئیں گے, تو آئی تھنک دس از ویری امپورٹنٹ کروشل آئی تھنک پروجیکٹ. اس کو آپ انٹیگرل پارٹ اس کا حصہ بنائیں, اور میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ اس کا بہت فائدہ ہوگا. ان الفاظ کے ساتھ میں آپ سب کا ایک مرتبہ پھر شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں. جو جوان افسر یہاں پر سیکورٹی کے لیے مامور ہیں, ان کا بھی, انجینئرس کا, کنسلٹنٹس کا, اور جو ٹیم ہے ممبرس وابڈا چیئرمین کے ساتھ, اور جو ہماری چیف سیکرٹری ہیں اور پولیس کے آئی جی ہیں اور ان کی ٹیم, آئی تھینک یو آل, تھینک یو ویری مچ. یہاں پر ہمارے گلگت بلتستان کے ایک ممبر بھی بیٹھے ہیں اسمبلی کے, ان کا بھی شکریہ ادا کرتا ہوں فار پرووائڈنگ پولیٹیکل سپورٹ. گاڈ بلیس یو. پاکستان زندہ باد.
وزیر اعظم شہباز شریف اس وقت امیر بھاشا ڈیم کے تعمیراتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کے لیے دورے پر موجود ہیں. اب سے کچھ دیر پہلے انہیں بریفنگ دی گئی, جس پر اظہار خیال کرتے ہوئے وزیر اعظم کا کہنا تھا کہ مجھے یقین ہے کہ ایک باصلاحیت ٹیم منصوبے پر کام کر رہی ہے, اور امید کرتا ہوں کہ منصوبے پر کام جلد از جلد مکمل ہو جائے گا. ہمیں توانائی کے بڑے منصوبے کے بارے میں سوچنا ہوگا. ہمیں اپنی فصلوں کو زیادہ سے زیادہ آبیاری کی ضرورت ہے. انہوں نے مزید کہا کہ منصوبے کی جلد تکمیل کے لیے حکومت سے جو مدد درکار ہے ہم اس کی فراہمی یقینی بنائیں گے. تمام کام کرنے والوں کا شکر گزار ہوں اور آپ کی کارکردگی لائق تحسین ہے. وزیر اعظم نے مزید کہا, ہماری کوشش ہے کہ پانی کو ضائع ہونے سے بچایا جائے. ڈیم پر کام کرنے والے پاکستانی اور چینی کمپنیوں کی کارکردگی قابل تعریف ہے. ہم قوم کو حقائق بتائیں گے, جھوٹ نہیں بولیں گے. وزیر اعظم نے مزید کہا کہ یہاں پر 200 سے 300 بیڈ کا اسپتال بھی بنایا جائے. یہ مناظر براہ راست آپ دیکھ رہے ہیں امیر باشا ڈیم کے تعمیراتی کام کا جائزہ لینے کے لیے اس وقت وزیر اعظم شہباز شریف اس وقت وہاں پر موجود ہیں, اور چیئرمین وابڈا لیفٹیننٹ جنرل ریٹائرڈ مزمل حسین وزیر اعظم کو اس وقت تفصیلاً آگاہ کر رہے ہیں, بریفنگ دے رہے ہیں. اب سے کچھ دیر پہلے انہوں نے بتایا کہ 11 قیمتی جانوں کی قربانی دینے کے بعد بھی کام تیزی سے جاری ہے. چیئرمین وابڈا کا مزید کہنا تھا کہ دنیا کی بہترین ٹیموں میں سے ایک اس منصوبے پر کام کر رہی ہے. منصوبے کی تکمیل سے ہم زیادہ پانی ذخیرہ کر سکیں گے, جس سے ملک کی ترقی میں مدد ملے گی. 2.6 ٹریلین روپے کی لاگت سے مختلف منصوبے مکمل کیے جا رہے ہیں. چیئرمین وابڈا نے مزید بتایا کہ منصوبے کی تکمیل میں مختلف چیلنجز کا سامنا ہے. منصوبے کی تکمیل سے بجلی کی پیداوار میں اضافہ اور آبپاشی کے لیے پانی کے ذخائر میں بھی اضافہ ہوگا. انہوں نے بتایا کہ 4500 میگا واٹ بجلی سسٹم میں شامل ہوگی. اس موقع پر اظہار خیال کرتے ہوئے وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف کا کہنا تھا کہ مجھے یقین ہے کہ ایک باصلاحیت ٹیم منصوبے پر کام کر رہی ہے, اور امید کرتا ہوں کہ منصوبے پر کام جلد از جلد مکمل ہو جائے گا. وزیر اعظم نے مزید کہا کہ ہمیں توانائی کے بڑے منصوبے کے بارے میں سوچنا ہوگا. وزیر اعظم کا مزید یہ بھی کہنا تھا کہ ہمیں اپنی فصلوں کو زیادہ آبیاری کی ضرورت ہے. براہ راست مناظر آپ اپنی ٹیلی ویژن اسکرین پر دیکھ رہے ہیں. چیئرمین وابڈا وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف کو تفصیلی بریفنگ دے رہے ہیں منصوبے کے حوالے سے. وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف نے اظہار خیال کرتے ہوئے اب سے کچھ دیر پہلے کہا کہ مجھے یقین ہے کہ ایک باصلاحیت ٹیم منصوبے پر کام کر رہی ہے, اور امید کرتا ہوں کہ منصوبے پر کام جلد از جلد مکمل ہو جائے گا. ہماری کوشش ہے کہ پانی کو ضائع ہونے سے بچایا جائے. وزیر اعظم نے کہا کہ ڈیم پر کام کرنے والی پاکستانی اور چینی کمپنیوں کی کارکردگی قابل تعریف ہے. انہوں نے کہا کہ ہم قوم کو حقائق بتائیں گے, جھوٹ نہیں بولیں گے. وزیر اعظم نے مزید یہ بھی کہا کہ یہاں پر 200 سے 300 بیڈ کا اسپتال بھی بنایا جائے. یہ ڈیم توانائی کے شعبے میں سنگ میل ثابت ہوگا. وزیر اعظم نے مزید کہا کہ ہمیں اپنی فصلوں کو زیادہ آبیاری کی ضرورت ہے. منصوبے کی جلد تکمیل سے حکومت سے جو مدد درکار ہے اس کی فراہمی یقینی بنائی جائے گی. تمام کام کرنے والوں کا شکر گزار ہوں اور آپ کی کارکردگی لائق تحسین ہے. وزیر اعظم کے اظہار خیال سے پہلے چیئرمین وابڈا لیفٹیننٹ جنرل ریٹائرڈ مزمل حسین نے وزیر اعظم محمد شہباز شریف کو منصوبے پر جاری ترقیاتی کام کے حوالے سے تفصیلاً بریف کیا. ان کا کہنا تھا کہ دنیا کی بہترین ٹیموں میں سے ایک اس منصوبے پر کام کر رہی ہے. چیئرمین وابڈا نے مزید کہا کہ منصوبے کی تکمیل سے ہم زیادہ سے زیادہ پانی ذخیرہ کر سکیں گے, جس سے ملک کی ترقی میں مدد ملے گی. 2.6 ٹریلین منصوبے کی لاگت سے مختلف منصوبوں پر کام کیا جا رہا ہے. باخبر رہنے کے لیے دیکھتے رہیے پاکستان ٹیلی ویژن نیوز.